Hey gang, hope you're doing very well. I am back from a little camping excursion and I'm just really happy. It's nice to be out in nature with some really lovely people, and I swam in the sea. So happy days. I've just got back and I'm feeling quite hyper and awake, so I thought I would read the next chapter of our book, which I've been reading, On the Path to Enlightenment by Mathieu Ricard. As you may know, you can jump in these chapters and there are lots of quotes from Buddhist monks. So this chapter is chapter 10. It's called The Spiritual Master, Uniting with the Mind of the Teacher. Hi, Ben. Guru Yoga, or union with the nature of the teacher, is an essential practice of Tibetan Buddhism, which is based on deep devotion to the spiritual master. We should understand that the depth and dimension of this devotion transcends any notion of blind faith. The devotion discussed here arises from the recognition of the immeasurable qualities of enlightenment, of which an authentic spiritual teacher is the living example. Hi, Ellie. The practice consists of mixing our mind with the teacher's mind through meditation, which enables us to break the limits of our confused and limited vision. Our narrow inner sphere mingles with the immense space of the teacher's enlightenment. From the ultimate point of view, it is simply rediscovering the true nature of our mind, its luminous emptiness and original freedom. But this process can rarely occur without the catalyst, which is the practice of Guru Yoga. Through the outer teacher, we can recognize the inner teacher. We read in many tantras and commentaries that, of all the practices of Buddhism, Guru Yoga is the most essential and the most effective for removing obstacles and progressing swiftly and surely on the path. Hi, Sean. For this reason, it is crucial to rely on an authentic spiritual master who has all the qualities of wisdom and compassion described in the teachings. So this is from Kangyur Rinpoche, The Importance and the Qualifications of a Spiritual Master. It is said that when a log of ordinary wood lies in the forests of the Malaya Mountains, that great garden of medicinal plants, it will be impregnated with the moisture dripping from the leaves of the sandalwood trees and will gradually imbibe the sweet perfume of sandal. In just the same way, if you are able to frequent a spiritual master, you will quickly acquire the latter's qualities. Fully qualified teachers. In the present age of decadence, it is extremely difficult to come upon accomplished spiritual masters who exhibit all the signs of authenticity as described in the sutras and the tantras. Nevertheless, it is essential to rely on spiritual friends whose minds are like excellent earth, well tilled both by the knowledge of the precepts of the 3 vows, as explained in the texts, and by faultless conduct, unstained by negative emotion. The earth of their minds should be moist with the knowledge of both the words and meanings of the sacred texts and their commentaries, themselves the source of their own freedom, and it should be saturated with great compassion and a loving concern for all that lives. It is thus that brilliant flowers will blossom, the 4 ways in which masters attract disciples who are fortunate in treading the path of liberation. The latter are like bees that come and savour the quintessential nectar of instruction. These 4 ways are 1. A generosity that is completely free from attachment. 2. A way of teaching that is attuned to the disciples' minds. 3. The ability to introduce them to the practice that leads to freedom. And 4. The fact that the teacher practices what he or she preaches. Hi, Tina. False teachers. Some teachers, however, are like wooden millstones. They practice the Dharma dishonestly and out of pride, like Brahmin priests, merely in order to preserve a line of incarnate lamas or a family lineage, or out of concern for the reputation of their monastery, fearing that this word, ecclesiastical residence or tradition might otherwise decline. Trying to secure wealth or religious patrimony with such an evil motivation is like bathing in a filthy pond. Such people are made even dirtier by the experience. Thus, to receive, study, and explain the teachings, and to build stupas, make statues, and so forth, with such motives as these, is not true Dharma. Indeed, it will be the person's ruin. This is why the root text speaks of bathing in a filthy pond. Empty and noisy boasting about qualities contributes nothing to the mind's discipline, just as a wooden millstone is incapable of grinding barley and cannot produce flour. Such teachers bring their disciples to ruin. Hi, Paul. Hi, Ben. Again, there are some people who, though their minds are filled with defilements and are no different from ordinary beings, have, as the karmic result of some trivial generosity in the past, obtained the position of a teacher in this life. They put on airs and persuade themselves that they are somebody after all, preening themselves and becoming puffed up with pride because they receive offerings, honours, and service from their devotees who go bowing and scraping in front of them, fools who know nothing about the true characteristics of a genuine spiritual master. Then there are other impostors, those who have only a smattering of the teachings. They have taken the vows and embraced the tantric commitments, but they are ignorant of the precepts, and their discipline is quite distorted. They have no idea of the 3 trainings, and their minds, awash with defects, are base and degenerate. They pretend to teach and give instructions. It is sheer guesswork, yet they behave as though they were soaring in the skies of realization. Moreover, they do not actually care for their disciples, and the drawstrings of love and compassion have broken. Attendance on such insane guides inevitably leads to the precipice of negativity, to the abyss of the lower realms, and to ever-increasing evil. The teacher's knowledge should be greater than that of the disciple. If this is not the case, and if people who are supposed to be teachers are lacking in bodhicitta, it is a great mistake to follow them, attracted perhaps by their fame and personal charisma. It is evident that the blind cannot be led by those who are themselves blind guides. Therefore, to place one's trust in someone whose eye of wisdom is closed is a serious error in both the immediate and the ultimate term. Teachers like this are unconcerned that their disciples are acting contrary to the Dharma. They make a pretense of caring for them because they enjoy being served and respected. And their disciples help them, believing that they are serving their teachers, despite the fact that such masters are immersed in the 8 worldly concerns, and their actions are quite destitute of any underlying wisdom or valid purpose. Associating with such people and in such a way deprives disciples of any chance of understanding what behaviour is to be adopted and what is to be rejected. They will consequently wander in the darkness of the lower realms. For the above reasons, aspirants may well be devoted and sincerely interested in practicing the Dharma, but if they fail to check whether their teachers are truly qualified and commit themselves regardless, they will be throwing away their present qualities as well as those to come in relation to the path. Their very human existence, endowed with 8 freedoms, which they have only just obtained after waiting so long, will be rendered meaningless. Their situation is like someone going toward a dark mass of poisonous snakes, thinking that it is in the cool shadow of a tree. Expecting shade and coolness, they hope to refresh themselves, but will be punished for their mistake with a poisonous bite. As it is said in the Vidyadharapikata, they, disciples, fail to judge him truly. He is ignorant and has no answers to their questions. This teacher is a demon for his students. All right, well, here we go. Authentic spiritual teachers. But masters who are steeped in the sacred scriptures and their commentaries, whose eyes of wisdom are open wide, and who, through their extraordinary realization of the 3 trainings, are skilled in liberating their disciples' minds. Teachers such as these are supreme. their minds replete with every quality of doctrine and realization. They are the peerless source of all qualities on the path and of all supreme and ordinary accomplishments. Authentic spiritual masters act with the intention of leading beings of every kind along the path of freedom. Seeing all appearances as dreams and illusions, their minds are like space. Even if their actions and words seem at variance with mundane conventions, it is a mistake to judge them wrongly, for there are many purposes behind such actions, as they train beings according to their wisdom. True spiritual masters are greater than anyone in the world. They are expert in cutting through the doubts of their disciples related to the words and meaning of the teachings, or to the practice and the dispelling of obstacles. Spiritual masters are not downcast when others abuse and criticize them. However exhausted they may become, physically, verbally, and mentally, in the service of others, they bear everything with patience, and it is through the practice of their essential instructions that beings cross over the sorrowful ocean of existence and reach the land of freedom. Spiritual masters are thus like great ships. They are true guides, able to teach the common path without mistake, who can explain the sense of the sublime sutras of definitive meaning as well as the tantras. Those who rely properly on such teachers with faith and unfeigned devotion will automatically acquire all the advantages of favourable samsaric birth: health, longevity, beauty, good fortune, family, wealth, and intelligence, together with all the qualities of enlightenment, loving kindness, compassion, and so forth. Such qualities will shower upon them like falling rain. This is Diljo Gyensei Rinpoche. The teacher is like a great ship for beings to cross the perilous ocean of existence, an unerring captain who guides them to the dry land of liberation, a rain that extinguishes the fire of the passions, a bright sun and moon to dispel the darkness of ignorance, a firm ground that can bear the weight of both good and bad, a wish-fulfilling tree that bestows temporal happiness and ultimate bliss, a treasury of vast and deep instructions, a wish-fulfilling jewel granting all the qualities of realization, a father and a mother giving their love equally to all sentient beings, a great river of compassion, a mountain rising above worldly concerns unshaken by the winds of emotions, and a great cloud filled with rain to soothe the torments of the passions. Hi Roberta, hi Andreas. In brief, he is the equal of all the Buddhas. To make any connection with him, whether through seeing him, hearing his voice, remembering him, or being touched by his hand, will lead us toward liberation. To have full confidence in her is the sure way to progress toward enlightenment. The warmth of her wisdom and compassion will melt the ore of our being and release the gold of the Buddha nature within. This is Jamgon Kongtrul Lodro Thay. Externally, the teacher appears in human form and teaches the path to liberation. Then comes a time when, through her instructions and her blessings, one comes to a realization identical to hers. Then one sees that the inner or absolute teacher has always been present. It is simply the nature of one's own mind. Drigung Jiten Gongpo says, "If the sun of devotion does not shine on the snowy mountain of the Lama's 4 kayas, the stream of his blessings will never flow. Arouse devotion in your mind with determination." And this is Shabkar. Just as silvery mist rises into the vast, empty firmament, will not the form of the Lord Guru appear in the immensity of all-pervading space? Just as gentle rain slowly descends within the beautiful arc of a rainbow, will not the Guru shower down profound teachings within a dome of 5-coloured light? Just as rainwater remains upon the even ground of a broad meadow, will not these teachings remain in the mind of your faithful and devoted son? just as brilliantly coloured flowers spring up across the lush, soft moorland. Will not spiritual experiences and realization arise in your son's mind stream? This is Shabkar again. In the beginning, I took the teacher as teacher. In the middle, I took the scriptures as teacher. In the end, I took my own mind as teacher. From the teacher who showed the path of deliverance, I received the sacred teachings of individual liberation. My practice was to shun wrongdoing and cultivate virtue. From the Bodhisattva teaching, I received the sacred Mahayana teachings on generating bodhicitta. My practice was to cherish others more than myself. From the Vajradhara teacher, I received the sacred teachings, initiations, and instructions of the secret Mantrayana. My practice was to meditate upon the development and completion stages and the great perfection. From many other teachers, I received many sublime teachings, thus establishing spiritual connections. My practice was to cultivate faith, respect, and pure perception. This is Tangyo Rinpoche, Good and Bad Disciples. It is said that disciples should consider themselves as invalids, afflicted from beginningless time by the disease of defilements. They should look upon the Dharma teachings as medicine, and the teacher should be regarded as a skillful physician, while the practice diligently pursued should be considered as the healing process. With four attitudes analogous to these, disciples should think of the teacher as travellers might consider an escort protecting them from enemies. They should depend upon their teachers as on courageous friends guarding them from danger. Again, they should rely on them like merchants who are dependent on their captain, or travellers dependent on a ferryman to cross a great river. Some people who lack confidence in the profound Dharma may have a superficial devotion because they are pleased by circumstantial trifles, gifts, smiles, and other marks of favour. Such shallow, artificial devotion serves no purpose. It is as changing as the weather, there in the morning, gone by the afternoon. Abandon it, for it is fragile and easily altered. Even with the help of many different methods, some people are very difficult to coax into the Dharma. At first, they are like wild yaks, difficult to herd into the cattle pen. Then they are fractious and unruly when they are instructed and made to study, and anyone who is diligent in the Dharma they detest. The present life is their only interest. In the end, they neglect their vows and samayas and take up their unsuitable friends. They go from bad to worse and stray from the teacher and their Dharma friends, eventually becoming like the wild men of the forests and the outlands who shun the company of humankind. Then there are the people who, even when they are in the teacher's presence, are constantly preoccupied with all manner of plans. They think that, better than staying with the Lama, they ought to be away, practicing in solitude. They rush away, but no matter where they go, they take up with bad friends. Their practice and actions degenerate, and they get caught in evil ways. Hi, Ben. Oh, Andreas, thank you. It is my job. On the other hand, if they are actually told to go into solitary retreat and apply themselves steadily to spiritual practice, they may well stay there, but they disregard their teacher's instructions and their practice falls apart. They give themselves up to idleness and distractions, failing to do even one session a day. They are no different from the tips of kusha grass bending here and there as the wind blows. Then there is a bad sort of person, skilled in trickery and unsatisfied by mere wealth and reputation. People like this covet the prestige of receiving empowerments, transmissions, and instructions as if these were items of merchandise, and they approach the spiritual master with deceitful intentions, laying a trap as though for a musk deer. Without any thought of the master's kindness, their one intention is to get the musk in other words, the sacred Dharma, and when they have it, the samayas and vows are tossed away, just like hunters who, having killed the deer, are excited at the prospect of selling the musk. These disciples are thrilled at their new standing, proud at having received such a teaching. People like this, who throw away the sacred links with their teachers, will be wretched in this and future lives. There are, in general, many individual types of disciple, but they can all be classified in the following 3 categories, which it is important to understand. To begin with, there are those who have genuine faith, who sincerely receive, reflect, and meditate upon the perfect teachings. They have great interest and devotion and are determined to free themselves from samsara. Then there are those who have the appearance of practitioners, but they are lacking in genuine determination and settle only for success and honour in their present life. Finally, there are those who belong neither to the first nor second category. They are lukewarm, neither hot nor cold. They are foolish and false in their Dharma practice, embracing it simply because other people do so. Without prior consideration, they engage in it rashly and without faith or sincere intention. Their practice of the Dharma is like the meditation of a monkey or the recitations of a parrot. They end up like stray dogs wandering the streets. They are neither practitioners of Dharma nor straightforward worldly people. By contrast, good disciples don the armour of devotion like Nagabodhi, one of the 4, and that is one of the 4 closet disciples of Siddha Nagarjuna. A Brahmin thief realized the natural state, emptiness, as his master was explaining to him the pure essence of mind. Who realized the truth? They have steadfast minds, and like Shriyana, serve the teacher and the doctrine without a care for life and limb. Like Jetson Mila, they do whatever their teacher tells them, without regard for their own comfort. Disciples like this are liberated merely by their devotion. Disciples should have faith, the source of all spiritual qualities, and a clear, lucid intelligence, unafflicted by doubt. They should have acquired the knowledge that enables them to distinguish virtue from non-virtue. They should have the great compassion of the Mahayana and a deep respect for vows and samayas. They should be serene and disciplined in thought, word, and deed. They should be broad-minded and on friendly terms with their neighbourhood, as well as with their Dharma kindred. They should act with generosity toward the pure recipients, and should have pure perception with a sense of propriety toward others. Good disciples should be 1. Like well-behaved children, knowing how to please their teacher and how to avoid displeasing him or her. 2. Even if their teacher scolds them severely and often, as need arises, the students should behave like intelligent horses and restrain their anger. 3. In order to accomplish their teacher's purpose, disciples should be like boats, sailing back and forth without weariness. 4. Like a bridge, they should be able to withstand any circumstance, good or bad, happiness or suffering, praise or blame. 5. Disciples should be like an anvil, unmoved by the summer's heat and the winter's cold. 6. Like servants, they should be obedient and meticulous in carrying out their teacher's instructions. 7. They should be respectful toward their teachers and the spiritual community, with the humility of a street sweeper. 8. They should reflect upon their own shortcomings and avoid all arrogance, like the old bull whose horns are broken and who takes the last place in the herd. In the Bodhisattva Pitaka, it is said that if disciples act in this way, they will be relying on their teacher correctly. Do not make distinctions among the teacher's attendants and disciples, liking some and disliking others, and do not make a nuisance of yourself. Try rather to be like a belt, fitting easily with any company, and like salt, easily adaptable to any one, high or low, influential or obscure. Be a pillar of strength against weariness, irritation, and any kind of assault. This is how to serve the teacher, and to respect the teacher's attendants and benefactors, as well as the Vajra kindred. You should aspire to dwell constantly in the company of spiritual masters, custodians of the treasury of Dharma, like swans living in beautiful creeks and flower-filled pools that gently taste the weeds and plants, and like bees that sip the nectar of the blossoms without damaging their colour or perfume. It is marvellous indeed to be able to observe the proper conduct as just described, leaving aside all incorrect behaviour and cultivating every wholesome attitude. Attend the spiritual master steadfastly without weariness, trying not to be a cause of displeasure. Taste, by the power of faith alone, the qualities of the master's realization. And we have just a tiny bit left from Patrul Rinpoche. This story about Patrul Rinpoche was narrated to the author by Diljo Khyentse Rinpoche. Patrul Rinpoche's decisive meeting with Do Khyentse Yeshe Dorje. Patrul Rinpoche felt unlimited devotion for Do Khyentse, whom he perceived as the Buddha himself. One day, the great yogi Do Khyentse decided to go to the province of Diachuca in the guise of a nomad yogi with carefree and unpredictable ways. As Patrul approached him, Do Khyentse addressed him with these words: "Hey, Patrul, if you are brave, come over here." When Patrul Rinpoche came within reach, Do Khyentse caught him by the hair, pinned him to the ground, and started to drag him along. Patrul noticed right away that Do Khyentse had been drinking because his breath smelled of beer. He said to himself, "Even a great teacher like him can get drunk and behave in such an inappropriate way." He thought of the harmful effects of drinking alcohol, as described by the Buddha. At that moment, Do Khyentse loosened his grip and, realizing Patrul, stared at him intensely. "Ugh," he cried, "you mad dog, with a head full of foul thoughts and rationalizations." Then he spat in his face, showed him his little finger as a sign of contempt, and went on his way. Patrul suddenly realized the significance of this behavior. "I completely misunderstood. This is a profound teaching on the nature of mind he has just given me." He sat in meditation and remained in the spontaneous experience of awareness, as clear as the immaculate sky. It was as if the bright sun was rising after the dawn that had been the introduction to primordial awareness that he had received from his great master, Gyalwai Nyugu. Later, Patrul Rinpoche said jokingly about this episode, "Mad dog is the initiatory name that Do Khyentse gave me, and he used that nickname to sign some of his writings." Okay. End of chapter 10. These little stories often leave me a little bit like, okay, what? So I hope you got something from that. I don't know if I did, but I understand what the teaching was there. You know, he did something out of the ordinary and Patrul went straight to judgment. So he wasn't so unshakable in that moment. That's what I get from that. As ever, thank you so much for listening and being here. If you want to close your eyes for a sec and get comfortable. Hi, Harry. You've missed the chapter, but you can chill with us for a second. As ever, if you're lying down, get nice and comfy and warm. If you're lying down, please bend your knees and put your feet flat, so your spine can do a nice flat lengthen. And it's great if you're on the floor too. Lie in semi-supine, support your head with a book or something. Bend your knees and have your feet flat. If you're sitting, we can do the sort of position that we learned in a previous chapter. If you are able to, cross your legs. You might want to sit on something to support you and tip your hips a bit forward. Either way, imagine a string is pulling the top of your head to the sky. Your chin tucks in towards your belly button. And you can have your hands sort of on your lap, cupped like that. You can have them out straight, so your wrists are on your knees. And as your string is pulling your head up to the sky and you are connecting with the air and everything above you, please also grow some roots now from everywhere that is making contact with the floor or your chair. And let those roots grow down. See them thick and brown, going into the ground and the earth. And if you are lying down, then grow roots from everywhere that is touching the ground or the bed or the sofa, wherever you are. So that's a lot of roots. You might want to roll your shoulders open, guys, if you're sitting. Let's do some nice clearing breaths. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Big one next. And continue breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Keep the crown of your head being pulled towards the sky. Feel your spine lengthening. Take a moment to relax all the muscles in your face. In your eye sockets, imagine your eyeballs are being held by your eye sockets. Might sound weird, but it can release the muscles around your eyes. Relax your jaw. Let your tongue fall from the roof of your mouth. And on every out-breath, you're melting from your jaw, down your neck, down your shoulders and your collarbones, down the chest and the back, down the belly to the hips, the bum and the thighs, through the thighs, the knees melt down into the ground, through the calves, down through the calves and the ankles to your feet. Down the feet into the ground. When you breathe in, you let your belly go completely. And when thoughts come, that's fine, you let them go. Come back to what you can feel and hear. You can imagine as you are here that you are surrounded by gold and light. A big globe of gold and light. You can imagine every time you breathe in that you breathe in this golden light into you. And when you breathe out, you're pushing it around the body. Filling up with this golden light energy. Keep that with you as you wiggle your fingers. And keep that golden light as you wiggle your toes. See that golden light with your mind's eye as you slowly blink your eyes open. And good night.